Hello everyone, and welcome to the Street Roots Family Breakfast. I'm Melanie Henshaw, Street Roots Indigenous Affairs reporter. Beginning last July, Street Roots began its first ever dedicated Indigenous Affairs coverage. A historically underrepresented group in media, Street Roots is one of the first media publications in Oregon to have its own dedicated Indigenous Affairs reporter. At Street Roots, we aim to provide an honest, full picture of the world of Indigenous affairs, unafraid to tackle complex issues, but remaining committed to showing the enduring vibrance of regional Indigenous communities. And over the past year, we've done just that. Let's check out some of our coverage from the past year. We start in the Klamath Basin of southern Oregon, where I covered the Klamath tribes and others' ongoing fight to restore the Klamath River's health through dam removal. A decades-long battle between tribes and the federal government over dams culminated in the planned removal of the dams from the river, a victory for the tribes. Next, we look to the Warm Springs Reservation, where we covered the allocation of long-awaited funds to address ongoing water quality issues on the reservation and the impact it's had on tribal members. As the green energy push intensifies, Indigenous communities are contending with the destruction of their homelands in a new way. We looked at Pihemaha, or Thacker Pass, and the Burns Paiutes tribes fight to protect its sacred sites that would be destroyed by the construction of a lithium mine. As the opioid crisis continues, there's a lack of resources for people who need help. In February, we covered how the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde opened an opioid treatment clinic in southeast Portland to serve Portlanders with substance abuse issues. There's a misconception that Indigenous people lack a contemporary presence. We covered the enduring presence of Indigenous communities in Portland through an art exhibition called This is Kalapuyan Land, featuring a multitude of local Indigenous artists. The month of May focuses on awareness for missing and murdered Indigenous relatives, and Street Roots was there as Indigenous community members in Portland and across Oregon rallied to raise awareness of the crisis. Indigenous communities undoubtedly face a myriad of challenges, but it's equally important to highlight joy, progress, and successes that regional Indigenous communities experience just as much, like the amazing exhibit we covered highlighting queer and two-spirit Indigenous identities at the Chichalu Cultural Museum in Grand Ronde, where Indigenous creatives are making a space for a vulnerable community to find its voice. We examined a recently released federal audit of the Chemawa Indian School that highlighted multiple financial indiscretions and intensified calls for accountability at the school. Finally, we took a look at how Portlanders, many of them Kanaka Maoli, are showing up to support wildfire-affected Maui in meaningful ways from thousands of miles away. At Street Roots, we're committed to telling these important stories and giving a voice to the unheard. Tribal sovereignty, environmental destruction, cultural preservation, you can count on Street Roots to be there to continue to cover these extremely important issues for Indigenous communities. And with your support, we'll continue producing quality journalism and uplifting the stories that need to be told. Back to you, studio.